Welcome to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. There's some lyrics in that song, that famous song, Pure Imagination, which I love so much. I think it can apply to us right now in this situation. It goes like this. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do, do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There's no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. As we mentioned all year long, become a language artist, we need to grow back to our childlike self, because that's when our imagination was the purest. And when we were little kids, our currency was candy. You can remember on Halloween, you trade up, what would be the big candy for the smaller candy, you know how to make deals, negotiate. But candy was king, was our currency. And I want you to be thinking right now, what's the currency in your life? What do you have to give? What's valuable? And how you can use your pure imagination to give it away and help others right now in this need, and still make paradise inside of this pandemic. You hear stories right now of a 16-year-old boy who has a small plane that's flying PPE gear all across America. You hear Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who brought a bunch of goggles to a local hospital. My alma mater, Long Beach State University, is making a bunch of masks right now, as so is UCLA and many other universities. I see the local group here in Fountain Valley started RVs for rent for people working in the emergency rooms. They can stay quarantined away from their families and have these RVs volunteered. And there's so many people right now who are using their imagination, using their currency to give to others and give out and make the world a paradise, even in this terrible pandemic. And remember those boomerangs I gave to all of you. We talked about the boomerang effect means the love you give away with no thought of return returns to you. I told you the story when I was a little boy, how my best friend's dad always traveled and always brought things back for his two sons. And one day, incredibly, I just asked, hey, Pete, do you have anything for me? And he was like, oh, no, sorry, Steve. And, a few weeks later, he came back from one of his trips, and he calls Kevin and his brother over there, and I'm kind of hiding out in the corner, and Pete says, Steve, I got something for you too. I have something for all three of my sons, all three of my boys. And he gave each of us that boomerang. And now, over a quarter century later, 25 years later, I gave each one of you a boomerang too. And I know he had no idea then that little act of gesture, a little kindness would compound and duplicate to a bunch of people who weren't even born when he did the act. So what kind of currency can you give right now that not only is going to help people right now, but it's going to come back and help people later on too? As we sit on our boomerangs, it says, the boomerang effect states the love you give away with no thought of return returns to you. Be a teeter-totter leader by becoming the love you come from, by only allowing love to come from you, no matter how unloving people come at you. Forgive everything and love everyone. When I think about that, the idea of candy, of currency, in Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory, and the whole premise around the movie was these everlasting gobstoppers. And Willy Wonka had this fake imposter guy named Slugworth go around and offer money to all five of the kids that won the golden ticket that will give you, I don't know what it was, $10,000 if you steal one of these everlasting gobstoppers. And it's really a tale of morals and of poor parenting and the ability to do good even in the face of bad. And every single kid in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and their parents agreed to steal and give away this everlasting gobstopper to this fake Slugworth. At the very end of the film, when Charlie's the last one left, but because he had the fizzy lifting drinks that made him fly to the air, Mr. Wonka says, no, you don't get the prize, you don't get the chocolate, you don't get to live here. And his grandpa whispers to Charlie, if Slugworth wants a gobstopper, we'll give him one. And in that moment, Charlie had a decision to make. Does he choose goodness and doing the right thing, even going against his parental figures, his authority figures? Or does he go for the easy buck? Does he go to take for himself? And he kind of rips away from Grandpa Joe, and he turns back and says, Mr. Wonka, and he takes this everlasting gobstopper, and he puts it on the ground. And my boy, you did it! It was like the whole factory. And what he was looking for was an honest and loving child. And we must remind ourselves, this world of pure imagination, when we grow back, inside all of us, even the most oldest person, the most mean person, is still this honest and loving child that we have to grow back to and bring out again. And when we do that, our life, we're just throwing boomerangs left and right. I'm reminded of this idea again of the boomerang effect, which you give away if no thought of return returns to you. Just a few weeks ago, one of my former players, his name's Charlie actually, came by and said, hey, can I come by your house, have a little gift for you? He stopped by and he gave me this big box of Belgian chocolate, and it's Starbuck Airlines, and I had given him this exact chocolate, and there's a metaphor about the airplanes between him and I, a little hidden meaning, but 8 years ago I gave him one of these things. And we haven't talked about it since or ever, but he remembered it. And so a boomerang I gave away 8 years ago came back to me. I wasn't expecting anything in return when I gave it away. And 8 years later, now as a grown man, the young Charlie came back. It was a way of saying he appreciates me and we love each other. And gave me my own airline chocolate. It's the best chocolate I ever had. Belgian chocolate. Starbuck Airlines, go check it out. But I want you to think now this idea of what can you give away. We gave all you guys these now and later candies earlier on in the year. And the idea of what are you doing now that's going to be duplicated later? What are you doing now? What act of love, act of leadership, act of kindness are you doing now that's going to serve other people later and make them be elevated and become the tier top leader like you are and give to other people in the future? That's the real legacy. What are you doing now that's going to be done later? And I think about the idea of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, of Willy Wonka, everlasting gobstoppers, and that's what really is everlasting, is our goodness, is our love. And through love we can live forever. And the candy that means the most to me sentimentally is the big bag of red peanut butter M&Ms. And this kind of encompasses all the things we talked about. The boomerang, the everlasting gobstopper, the now and laters. The idea of candy as our currency when we're young kids and our pure imagination. When I was 10 years old, I had developed a relationship with my mailman, believe it or not. Neil the mailman, we called him. Since I was a little, 3-year-old kid. And I met him, he did my block, I'd run into the block, I'd walk with him from mailbox to mailbox around Bunting Circle. And we would talk, we would bond, and he gave me a rubber band and little things. And over the years, he became close to my mom and me, and we went to wrestling events together, and my birthdays he would stop by, and Christmases, and I was at his wedding. We just became close. He became my big brother. And everywhere I went with Neil, because he was this mailman, everyone would want to talk to him, and I was this really shy, introverted kid, and I was always I always thought he was famous, because everyone always said, hey, Neil, what's up? They came up to him. And one day when I was 10 years old at Geisler Elementary School, Neil was walking on the trail, and he called me over to the playground. And I ran over to Neil, and all the kids in the playground were watching this, and he goes, what day is it today? I said, I don't know. He says, it's your birthday. April 26th. Oh, yeah, that's right. And I was 10 years old, and he goes, I got a gift for you. And he pulled out of his mailbag this big, huge bag of red peanut butter M&Ms, like Mars coming out of the galaxy. And it wasn't like the little small bag. It wasn't even the king size. It was this huge jumbo bag of peanut butter M&Ms. And again, when you're a kid, candy's your currency. It's like someone just gave me a pile of cash. It was the coolest thing ever. And I begged him for it, he gave me a little card, and then I turned around, and I walked back towards the playground. And all of the kids after me was like, Steve, how do you know the mailman? And they all wanted some candy, so I'm like, here you go. And the girl had a crush on Morgan, gave her a little bit extra, and I was this shy, quiet kid, didn't have a whole lot of friends, but for one day, Neil the mailman made me the coolest kid on the playground. Because he gave a boomerang effect, he gave away his currency. He gave away something that made me feel bigger and better about who I was. And whether it be people coming around with masks or gloves or flying airplanes or mowing people's lawns that can't right now because of the pandemic, there's something you have inside of you. There's a big, huge red bag of peanut butter M&Ms right now, but only you have to give away. How can you make someone the coolest kid on the playground? How can you serve your community? What can you do now that's going to be duplicated later? And so through love, you live on forever, and you make more and more and more of these hero leaders. How can you get your Belgian chocolate inside of you? What is the boomerang you can give away? And so I want you to write about, and you'll see more directions on Canvas. It's something very specific. What is something, you might not have an airplane, you might not have the money like Kareem, but you can do something, small acts make lasting impacts, to make someone in your own home, your own community, or maybe your own self feel like the coolest kid on the playground. And a few years after that, I was with Neil, we were at Fry's Electronics. And 3 different people came up to me that day and introduced, hey Neil, how's it going? And for the first time in my life, Neil said, I was kind of hid behind me, I was just shy, introverted kid. He would pull me, because I want to introduce you to my little brother, Steve. And every single person, he called me his little brother. And from the rest of my life, he always called me his little brother. And it had an impact on me there. Something that happened, the now and later impact. And as we're walking the aisles of Fry's Electronics in Fountain Valley, California, I made a little pact to myself internally. Remember we talked about how your words create your world. I started planting the seeds of words that would change my world later on. And I said, one day, even though I thought it was impossible because I was so shy and timid, and I had this antipathy for being on stage or in front of people because I was so nervous, but I said to myself, one day I'm going to be famous like Neil. And everywhere I go, someone's going to come to me and say, hey Steve, how you doing? And they're going to want to give their best self to me. And many, many years later, I was with my little brother Stuart at Albertsons at Burkers Mills, where I used to work as a bag boy. And I'm walking around and with my brother and a bunch of people had, hey Steve, how you doing? Who had known me. And it became common for me through teaching and coaching, running for city council, and the writings I do for FE Magazine. People would just kind of come up and say hi to me. And I forgot all about the little pact I made when I was a little boy. And Stuart stopped me. And my little brother said to me, you know, I love going places because it feels like you're famous. Because everywhere we go, someone's always coming up to you and saying hello. And I remember this particular instance, I would say, here's my little brother Stuart, actually, my real brother. And as Stuart told me, I stopped in my tracks, I was stunned. And all of a sudden, I was transported all the way back to Fry's Electronics. And I remember that little shy, timid little boy who first dreamed a dream. And it's a sacred space where the dreamer meets the dream. And I realized for the first time, oh my gosh, I'm living out later the thing I did now back then. And as I froze in the aisle and Stuart told me this, I looked around and we just so happened to be in the candy aisle. And right to my right was this huge display of these big, bright red bags of peanut butter M&Ms. And to me, it was like the universe winking at me. Like, why did you ever doubt yourself, young child? We had you. When you dare to dream things that are bigger than you think you can right now, you plant a seed to become it later on. And that's my highest hope for you. Dare to dream bigger dreams. Use your currency. Have this great pure imagination. As Willy Wonka said, you want to change your world? There's nothing to it. Just get on and imagine it, and then you can do it. That's my highest hope for you. Remember, the thing that's most everlasting is your goodness, your love. Send out those boomerangs today. Find your currency. Go on Canvas to look more details. But I wish you all, every day, that you make someone feel like the coolest kid on the playground. Be the teeter-totter leader to something on purpose every single day to make someone feel for certain that they are loved, because our lives matter most, but others know how much their lives matter. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. I love you all big, giant much, and send out those boomerangs. Peace.